Ethan Cross had everything: youth, wealth, power, and the title of one of the youngest CEOs in the city. But in the silence of his penthouse, away from the cameras and stock markets, he was haunted by a decision he made 4 years ago. A decision that had broken not only someone else's heart but his own. He had walked away from the woman he loved, Isabella, the one who had once made his cold, calculated life feel warm. She had been pregnant then. And instead of standing by her side, he had chosen his career, his empire, and his fears over fatherhood. He told himself it was for the best, that he wasn't ready, that she deserved someone better than a man married to his business. But deep down, Ethan knew the truth. He had been a coward. 4 years later, fate played its cruel hand. Ethan wasn't looking for her when he saw her. He had been leaving a charity gala, the kind where cameras flashed and champagne glasses clinked, when laughter drifted to him from the park across the street. 2 small voices, high-pitched, joyful, and then he froze. There she was, Isabella. Her dark hair tied back, her smile radiant in the glow of the street lamps. And beside her, 2 children, a boy and a girl, identical in their bright eyes and dimpled cheeks. They couldn't have been more than 4 years old. Twins. Ethan's chest tightened. His throat went dry. His hands, always steady in boardrooms, trembled now. Those were his children. He watched for what felt like forever, rooted to the spot. The boy clutched a toy car, racing it along the bench. The girl squealed as Isabella tickled her. The picture was perfect, whole, without him. When Isabella finally noticed him, her smile vanished. The warmth in her eyes turned to ice. She stood, pulling the twins protectively closer, as though shielding them from a stranger. "Ethan," she said flatly. "Bella." His voice cracked. He hadn't called her that in years. "Are they?" Her jaw tightened. "What do you think?" The boy tugged on her sleeve. "Mommy, who's that man?" Her lips pressed into a thin line before she answered softly. "Just someone I used to know." The words cut deeper than any business betrayal he had ever faced. Over the next weeks, Ethan couldn't let it go. He tried to bury himself in meetings, deals, the usual rhythm of his empire. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw their faces. The little boy's curiosity, little girl's laughter, Isabella's guarded strength. For the first time in years, quarterly reports and billion-dollar mergers felt meaningless. He sent flowers. She sent them back. He called. She didn't answer. He showed up at her apartment once, and she shut the door in his face. But Ethan Cross was a man who never accepted defeat. Not in business, and now, not with them. Finally, Isabella agreed to meet him on her terms. It was at a small cafe, quiet, away from the city noise. She came alone, leaving the children with her mother. "What do you want, Ethan?" she asked coldly. He stared at her, struggling for words. The CEO who had swayed politicians and investors now stumbled like a boy. "I want chance," he said finally. "A chance to know them, a chance to make things right. I made the worst mistake of my life when I left you, but I can't undo that. All I can do is be here now." Her eyes glistened, but her voice stayed firm. "You think you can just walk back into our lives? After 4 years? After every night I cried alone, wondering why I wasn't enough? After raising 2 children who ask why they daren't have a dad like the other kids?" Ethan's heart ached at her words. He wanted to reach for her hand, but he didn't. He knew he hadn't earned the right. "Isabella," he whispered, "you were always enough. I was the one who wasn't, but I'm here now. Please, let me prove it." She didn't forgive him overnight. The walls she had built were strong, and for good reason. But Ethan was relentless, not in the way he chased profits, but in the quiet, steady way he showed up. He attended their school recitals, sitting quietly at the back so the twins wouldn't feel confused. He donated anonymously to their school's library when he noticed how much the children loved books. He learned their favorite colors, their favorite cartoons, and even burned a few pancakes in his attempt to cook breakfast with them. Slowly, the children warmed up to him. The boy, Alex, would ask him to play catch in the park. The girl, Aria, would crawl onto his lap with her crayons and demand he help color. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt the kind of joy no fortune could ever buy. And slowly, Isabella began to see it too. She saw the way he looked at them not as obligations, but as treasures. She saw the regret in his eyes when he thought no one was watching. She saw the change in him, the man who was no longer ruled by ambition alone, but by love. One rainy evening, as Ethan was leaving their home after a long day with the twins, Isabella stopped him at the door. "You've changed," she said softly. He turned, rain dripping from his coat. "I had to, for them, for you." Her eyes searched his, as if weighing years of pain against the man standing before her now. "Maybe," she whispered, "maybe I was wrong to think people never change." And for the first time in 4 years, there was no anger in her gaze. Only hope. Months later, the twins stood in a garden, dressed in bright colors, laughing as bubbles floated around them. Their tiny hands clutched at Ethan's suit jacket, tugging him toward the cake waiting on the table. It was their 5th birthday. This time, Ethan wasn't standing at a distance. He was there right beside them. As Isabella looked on, her eyes filled with tears, not of pain this time, but of healing. She had once believed she had lost everything when Ethan walked away. But life had shown her something else. Sometimes broken things could be rebuilt, stronger, more beautiful than before. The story of Ethan, Isabella, and their twins wasn't about wealth or power. It was about second chances. About the courage to face your past, the patience to rebuild trust, and the love that could turn even the deepest wounds into something whole again. Because in the end, the greatest fortune Ethan Cross ever found wasn't in his empire, but in the family he nearly lost.